Alrighty. This is Dr. Stan Harris, known as Dr. Breakthrough. We've been talking about your financial breakthrough or breakdown is guaranteed, almost guaranteed. And again, I can talk about the breakthrough and breakdown because I've had them both. and uh, the reason I say it's almost guaranteed is because I don't know what you're going to use with the information. As a matter of fact, the greatest book ever written says, "The word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it." What does that mean? That means some folks, they heard it, but they didn't implement it. Write this down. People today seem to be addicted to information, but allergic to implementation. Ooh. So anyway, your financial breakthrough or breakdown can almost be guaranteed. And so, my friend, again, we want to talk to you again. The guaranteed when you implement the principles. As a matter of fact, I made a video earlier today about excuses, and this is worth noting, by the way. I from now on, I'm committed to saying no to excuses, so I can better say yes to execution with expectation that would lead to the experience. Because excuses are the currency with which you buy failure, but execution with expectation is what the currency with which you buy success. Let me say it again. So I'm committed to saying no to my excuses, which, by the way, someone said excuses are tools of incompetence used to build mountains of nothingness, and those that subscribe to them seldom amount to be anything. So I'm learning and I'm being committed to saying no to my excuses so I could say yes to execution with expectation, because excuses is the currency with which we buy failure. But get this now, execution with expectation is the currency with which we buy success. And who wants to buy failure when you can buy success? In the chat, let me know which currency you want to use, the one that buys failure or the one that buys success. So again, my friend, we talked about last week, this a little bit, bring you up to speed. This is part two. But last week, we talked about be in the know so your money will grow. Be out of the know and your money will go. Ooh. Because any financial principle that you do not know, those that know them will use them against you. And my friend, we want you to at least have knowledge. It's like self-defense. I got beat up, right, by a teenage gang when I was a 6-year-old boy. So I had a Popeye moment. I said, I've stands all I can stands and I can't stands no more. I'm going to learn how to protect myself. I kept getting bullied at school. Also, I'm like, I'm tired of this. And my mom wanted a free month of karate lessons. The free month, she started staying longer and started paying her. Free is good, but when you're serious, you're willing to invest and pay and, and circulate. And so, make a long story short, every month she got better and better and better until one month she got so good, her and her boyfriend got in a fight and my mom knocked him out cold. So when I saw about 5'1" mom knock out a 6'1" guy, I was like, man, I don't know what this karate stuff is. But I said, I got to learn this because I mean, if if it gave my mama that kind of power, that's the kind of power that I want. And so I got started. But then I found out as an adult, I started getting beat up on financially. Hello. So I was like, I need some financial success. And so again, a lot of stuff like Jeremiah 7:8 says, you trust in lying words which cannot profit. So the church that trained me, they made me feel like the more poor I was, the closer I could be to God, right? And so there's something called a governor. Like when a guy owns a fleet of trucks or whatever else, then he would put a governor so that the drivers won't go too fast. And no matter how hard you put on the gas, it's only going to go so far. And some of you, your governor, your internal governor has been set lower. So no matter how much you try, no matter what you do. And so that's why Romans 12:2 says you got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So again, brainwashing is totally deadly, totally wrong, but our brains do need washing. Come on, somebody. Just like I wash up, just like I wash my outer body, like, right? So guess what, my friend? My brain needs washing. And so, my friend, that's what the Bible is all about. And that's what this training is all about as well, my friend. And so let's jump into this. So again, number one, we said when you understand that if your money grows before you do, it will eventually have to shrink back down to where you are. And unfortunately, if sometimes even further. So your financial breakthrough or breakdown is almost guaranteed when you understand that if your money grows before you do, will eventually have to shrink back down to where you are. if not further. That's we talked about the lottery winners. We talked about the football players and even people, the smart people that have an inheritance. They say, look, you're not going to get it all at once. You're just going to get some, you know what I mean, as people grow. And so Robert Kiyosaki talked about the unwritten law like years ago. You know, there was a law against slaves learning to read and write. He said there's an unwritten law against teaching people financial literacy. Why? Because if a slave would learn how to read and write, they would no longer be fit to be a slave. They would know they don't have to be a slave, and they would never be satisfied, and they would eventually break free. All righty. And guess what, my friend? And this whole weekend is supposed to be about the 4th of July, supposed to be about independence. The tragedy, though, is a lot of white folks are celebrating their independence while they had enslaved people look like me. I mean, that's crazy. But at any rate, though, but now the key is we can not just be free in our bodies, but we need to be free in our minds. We need to be free financially and also in our health and so forth and so forth. All right. So again, we talked about the need for personal growth, Jim Rohn, about what Benjamin Franklin said, if you empty your wallet into your mind will fill your wallet. Les Brown saying information costs, but it pays for itself 10 times over. I say what you put in your head that affects your heart determines what comes to your hand. And if you want more coming to your hand, you got to put more in your head that affects your heart. And that's why I congratulate those of you on here this morning on a holiday weekend. And again, everybody, and again, this is family time, and I understand, no problem, my friend. But I just have to be consistent and do for those who show up. And so appreciate those of you who did show up. And again, nothing against those who didn't. Everything's good. So again, your million, as I said, or $1 billion ideal will start to manifest after you break through the minimum wage mindset and work ethic. So mindset always determines skill set, and skill set dictates your paycheck. I said mindset determines skill set, and skill set dictates your paycheck. As a matter of fact, your mindset will hinder or help your skill set. So again, my friend, without a breakthrough mentality, nothing on earth or heaven can help you. With a breakthrough mentality, nothing on earth can stop you. So you got to have that breakthrough mentality, my friend. And so I gave you a assignment, the 21 days to speak out loud. I hope you've been doing it. And if not, you better do it a bunch of times in one day to catch up. But to say out loud, and remember, even make a video that money flows freely and frequently to me from expected and unexpected sources in exchange for the value that I consistently bring to the marketplace. I mean, I find money all the time. Money comes all the time, again, from not just expected, but unexpected places. Why? In exchange for the value that I consistently bring to the marketplace. Like I told you about my main mentor years ago, William E. Bailey, grossing $64 million a month, no email, no fax machine, back in the 70s. I was like, Mr. Bailey, what did you do to gross $64 million a month? It's a young Dr. Breakthrough, you're asking the wrong question. You should have said, how many people's lives to add value to that resulted in 64 million. You see, you can't bring value to the marketplace without eventually bringing value back from the marketplace. You see, my friend, write this down. You got to understand that and I'll talk about, it's going to be another point, but let me throw it out now. But every deed is a seed. Every word is a seed. Every thought is a seed. And we have to understand that we get to reap the harvest. So I gave you a formula, WPHH, and that stands for wake up, pray, hustle honestly. Because you got to pray like it all depends on God, but you got to work like it all depends on you. Because you and him, we're co-workers, right? I've never been poor, Poor, passing over opportunities repeatedly, poor, putting obstacles over riches. But I've been broke, and they said average millionaire is broke 2.5 times. Why? Because we take risk, but risk is the ledge against winners the edge. Sometimes that risk doesn't come out good, so you got to learn to take calculated risk. But at any rate, my friend, the power of that. So, but let me move on. Number two, when you implement or adopt a breakthroughpreneur mindset, and that's when we told you that breakthroughpreneur again is so focused on providing a valuable product, service, or system to people for profit with pleasure that they're willing to break through any barrier, outer barrier, and any barrier that would hinder that process. Then we said number 3, when you decide you will no longer be a slave to money and the system. See, money is a terrible master, but a great servant. And so, my friend, so you got to learn, my friend, as the scripture talks about, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So we don't chase money. We don't chase money. We chase God. And when we chase God, causes the money and the blessings to chase and overtake us. Deuteronomy 28:2. Number 4, we said when you commit to circulating instead of spending or even saving money. Again, circulation. When I married my wife, Nadia, she said, baby, we don't ever want to spend money. When you spend money, it's gone forever, never to return. She said, but when you circulate money, she said, it goes out and it comes back, Chaplain Addie. She said, a never-ending cycle of increase and enjoyment. I said, ooh, from now on, we're going to look for ways to circulate the money that God allows us to be stewards of. Because see, it's not our money. We're just stewards, and we're going to give an account. And you remember Matthew 25:14-30, when Jesus, he told the story, he gave the one guy 5 talents, and gave another 2, another 1. And the one with the 5 made 5 more. The one with the 2 made 2 more. The one with the 1 was scared to death, hid it. And when the master came back, he said, the guy with the 5 said, I made 5 more. And the master said, well done, thou profitable servant. The one with the 2 made 2 more. Well done. Gave him the same commendation. The one with the 1 hid it. He said, I was scared. And he said, he called him unprofitable servant. He said, you could at least taken it to it got some interest on it, right? But you didn't. And he called him wicked, unprofitable, my friend. So again, the Bible says, when you shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which is our duty to do. So if you just do everything you're supposed to do, that's not profit. Profit is over and above. And so, my friend, so we're going to give an account. And so, my friend, we need to understand this, my friend. So we need to learn to get appreciating assets. Again, circulation and buying appreciating assets, where the asset is something that creates money. And then from that money, we buy more assets that creates money. And from that money, we can buy the things that we need and so forth. But guess what? We still got assets that are producing, my friend. And so again, it's got to be emphasis on circulating money. So again, step number 4, when you commit to circulating instead of spending or even saving, because even when you save money at the rate of inflation, you still lost money, okay? Number 5, here we go, ready? When you replace the poverty programming and reprogram a prosperity program and mindset. So you got to replace. The Bible says, Romans 12:21, be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. So you got to replace the poverty programming. We've all been programmed like that. We were trained in school by broke teachers who trained us to be employees. And the employee mindset, by the way, those of you in home-based business, those of you who are in sales, those of you who are trying to reach people, the reason it's so hard is because it's like you speak English, they speak Spanish, and it's like it's a totally different language. They're like, they don't even understand. Like, what are you talking about, JoJo? Like Alan, but like you used to make sense. Now, what are you talking about? So again, my friend, number 5, I said, when you replace the poverty programming and reprogram a prosperity program and mindset. Again, it's just amazing, my friend. But all of us, we have been financially programmed for failure, to be financial slaves to the system. That's why we need personal growth. That's why, my friend, our brains need to be washed. That's why, my friend, we're doing these trainings. That's why, my friend, we're here to empower and support each other. Because again, our brains have been dirtied. Again, the greatest book ever written says, Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, but it doesn't stop there. It says, because thou hast rejected knowledge. Wait a minute, stop, hold, wait, back up. Why would somebody reject knowledge? I'll tell you why. It says, watch this, my people destroyed for lack of knowledge. So if it stopped there, it would mean they were destroyed because of what they didn't know. But it didn't stop there. It said, my people destroyed for lack of knowledge. Semicolon, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Whoa. Why would they reject something? Because they thought they were being educated like we thought, but really we were being indoctrinated. So we were being indoctrinated to be against true financial principles that would create breakthrough and massive success. And when we're first approached with it, it's like our minds go, no, like, that don't even sound right. That's a scam. Something got to be wrong with that, right? Remember I told you, I think it was last week, go on Facebook, say, hey, pray for me. I'm looking for another job, and then go to prayer meeting, say, pray, I'm looking for another job, and then come back and say, I got a job. They'll clap, they'll cheer, give you thumbs up and emojis, all that kind of stuff, but say, hey, I'm looking at starting another business opportunity, and next thing you know, you're saying prayer meeting, pray for me. I'm thinking about starting this other business. I think it'd be very lucrative. And the next thing you know, people, I was like, man, you got to be careful now. You got to be careful. Now, Denise, don't start chasing money. Got to be careful, May. You got to be careful, Mayo Lee. Don't be chasing money now, Lynette. Don't too yet. Now, be careful. Now, you was always a decent, real strong, committed Christian in person now, but don't fall into that trap. Really, really. The same people to be clapping and cheering if you get a job. Now, it don't matter if you got a job, you and your wife both got a job, and now you got two jobs. That's okay. But as soon as you get an opportunity, now all of a sudden you chasing money. See, we've been brainwashed. And so I don't hold that against people. I actually expect it because they thought they were educated. They've been indoctrinated because most of our education is really indoctrination. I used to be a college professor. Listen, most of the education is based on how well people, the students regurgitate back to the teacher what the teacher taught them. Most of our education is based on how well you regurgitate back the philosophies and the facts, the figures, the concepts that the teacher taught you. So, which means if the teacher taught you wrong, you now have a degree in error. It seems like the more educated people are, and by the way, I spent 12 years in regular school, 12 years in college, so I know what I'm talking about, my friend, from graduate, postgraduate work, my friend, and then being a professor for 5 years. But what I'm saying is, watch this. It seems like the more quote unquote educated a person is, the harder it is for them to make money, my friend. Most people, get this, that made a lot of money, they quit school, they quit college to go become the richest man or woman in the world. See, because college gives you so much structure that now college is great for meeting people and connecting, but I'm saying, my friend, but it's not an end all be all. And some of you are messed up because, see, it's not, write this down. It's not what you don't know that's going to hurt you. It's what you think you know that's not so. That's what's going to hurt you. And I met so many educated, ignorant people. Right? And to them, everything's got to be right. It's got to be right. It's got to be within the box, man. I'm outside the box, but inside the kingdom, right? I like it. They said to Bruce Lee, you're outside the box. He said, box. I didn't know there was a box. but what I'm saying is, and so when I first got involved in the home-based business, they would teach you either going to be right and broke or be quote unquote wrong and rich. And not wrong as far as bad, but wrong as far as doing it the wrong way, because we were taught the same. Everybody on here, in the chat, let me know if I'm telling the truth. Were you taught this philosophy? Go to school, get good grades, go to college, get better grades, get a job, live happily ever after, right? I mean, I've been in all 50 states, spoken in all 50 states. Everywhere I go, they learn the same thing. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, get better grades, get a job, live happily ever after. That doesn't even work. The Dorney economic table tracked 100 people over a period of 45 years, from age 20 to age 65 when they're supposed to be able to retire, right? And what they found out was that 62 people were dead, 28 were dead broke, 5 were still working, 4 were financially independent, and only 1 was rich. So 62 were dead, 28 were dead broke, 5 were still working, 4 were financially independent, and only 1 was rich. By the way, the 5 that were either independent and rich, guess what? They all had something in common. They didn't have a boss and they didn't have a job. The 95% that failed, you got a 95% failure rate, my friend, of doing it the way that we've been trained. That's brainwashing to me. That's wrong. That's wrong. I mean, it didn't happen quite this way, but I tell the story that, some people, they said to me, hey, Doc, how'd you like to, when I'm college professor. Now imagine I'm a boy from the hood, And all of a sudden I make it financially. I'm doing extra great for where I came from. And it's like, man, I made it. Like I'm the guy I never thought I'd make it out of high school, much less graduate, top of my list, college, a dean's list, who's who, American college universities, and then the college professor now. These people talk about how'd you like to start making more money in a month? You make an entire year. And I'm thinking I'm not going back to college. See, in my mind, I kept equating degree. If you want to make more money, you got to get more degrees. And I see people today, my friend, they're in their 90s. I congratulate them for finishing, getting a degree and everything. But I got a whole training on the real degree you need. But anyway, but watch this though, it's totally different than what people think. But at any rate, but I can applaud them for the commitment for that. But I'm telling you, it's in their brain. We've been trained wrong. We've been indoctrinated. We haven't been educated. We haven't been educated. We've been trained what to think. We've been trained how to think. We haven't been trained to think. And most people don't think. They just think, Beverly, that they think. And they keep regurgitating the same old thoughts, and usually it's what mama said, what daddy said. Y'all heard the old story. It's super old fashioned, but the mother was and her daughter was cooking the ham, and the mom cut the ends of the ham off and put it in the pan. And the daughter said, "Mama, why are you wasting the ham like that? What you cut the ends off for?" And she said, "Well, baby, I don't know. That's what my mama did." And she's like, "What?" And the daughter said, "Well, I'd sure like to know why." I mean, that's a good piece of, the both ends. That's still good. Not for me. I don't eat that swine. Oh, Lord Jesus. But anyway, but that's a scavenger of the earth. But anyway, and they talk about sweat like a pig. A pig doesn't sweat, so all those toxins, all that stays on the inside. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But at any rate, let's get back to illustration. And so her mom talked to her mom, which was when the grandmother, right? And said, "Mom, my daughter asked me, so why do we cut the ends of the ham?" I was like, "I don't know. I always saw you do that." And she said, "Baby, I don't know. My mom always did that." Big mama, right? That's what we call her. Big mom, big mom. Okay. So that's big mom. Big mom said, "Oh, baby, back in that day, the pans were so small, you had to cut the ends of the ham off to get it in there." So in other words, they've been following this tradition, which there was a time for it. And there was a time when education would get you the jobs. There was a time, but that's past now. And the same tradition, people doing the same thing over and over again that no longer works. So here I was a college professor, and they said, "How'd you like to start making more money in a month? You make an entire year." I'm thinking I got to get more degrees. And yet I was right, but it was a different kind of degree. Instead of an MBA, Masters of Business Administration, they were helping me to get an MBA massive bank account, which, by the way, a lot of folks today with their MBA, Masters of Business Administration, are suffering from another MBA. It's called mini bank account because now they find themselves overqualified for a job. Isn't that crazy? They teach you get these degrees, go get all these. Okay, but let me get off this soapbox. But y'all know what I'm talking about here. Because one guy said to me, he said, "Man, you're the most educated guy that's against education." I said, "I'm not against education. I'm against false education. I'm against indoctrination. I'm against brainwashing. I'm for true education." Because any information that doesn't create a change in your heart, movement in your feet, and most importantly, money in your pocket is wasted or misinformation. Somehow, some way, so come on now. It shouldn't be making you make less money. It shouldn't be making you more what do we call scared. Because again, remember I said there's employee mindset versus entrepreneur mindset. And I say kingdompreneur, but and breakthroughpreneur, but an entrepreneur, see, there's risk versus reward. An employee mindset focuses so much on the risk, they lose sight of the reward. An entrepreneur, a breakthroughpreneur, a kingdompreneur, we focus so much on the reward, we're willing to deal with the risk. Ooh, did you get that? I said there's always risk versus reward. See, for every asset, there's a liability. For every liability, there's an asset. But again, the employee mindset focuses so much on the liabilities, focuses so much on the risk, they lose sight of the reward. The entrepreneur mindset, the kingdompreneur, the breakthroughpreneur mindset, we focus so much on the reward, we focus so much on the assets, we're willing to deal with the liabilities. We're willing to deal with the risk. Is that good? Good or extra good? Come on in the chat. Talk to me, somebody up in here. So they said, "How'd you like to make more money in a month?" He used to make an entire year. I got started in a home-based business. When I started making more money in a month than I used to make an entire year, now jokingly didn't happen exactly like this, but I jokingly said, I went to my boss and I said, "Boss, I apologize. I can't work for you anymore." And he said, "Doc," he said, "Why, man?" I said, "Man, I got eye trouble." He said, "Eye trouble?" I said, "Yeah, I can't see myself working for you anymore." See, I realized what Jim Rohn said because I used to travel and speak with him, share the platform. He said, profits are better than wages. And Jim Rohn said, a formal education will help you make a living. But personal development and personal education will help you make a fortune. So Dr. Breakthrough says, why not learn to make a fortune so you can then make a living? So let me go back to a quote I started saying I didn't finish. So watch this. It's not what, well, no, let me stop. Let me ask you a question first. What have you learned that's keeping you from learning what you really need to know? You ought to write that down. What have you learned? Because Jeremiah 7:8, you trust in lying words which cannot profit. If it's a lie, it can't profit. The opposite of a lie is a truth, and the truth is the only thing that can set you free on this freedom weekend. You ought to get free. So what have you learned that's keeping you from learning what you really need to know? See, again, my people destroy for lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. Why did they reject knowledge? Because, my friend, it's like they learned, they were indoctrinated with a false training. And that was like the peanut butter, that was like the jelly. So when the peanut butter tried to come, it slid right off. Or that was like the peanut butter. When the jelly came, it slid right off. And so that's like the indoctrination. So when true education comes, it slides right off. And people are like, no, I don't want to. They praying for financial breakthrough, but they reject you. Why? Because they think they already know. Because what you're going to tell them doesn't look sound anything like what they think it's supposed to be. Because all they heard was go to school, get good grades, go to college, get better grades, get a job, live happily ever after. And what you're saying is like Chinese, and all they understand is English. I'm telling you, my friend, that's why I don't expect immediate success. And that's why, my friend, I don't get disappointed. I don't get blown out the way. I don't ever feel rejected, my friend. I expect them to say that. That's why I got to re-educate them. That's why Scott Hoffer, or Eric Hoffer, said the illiterate, learners shall inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to live in the world that no longer exists. That's why it was Toffler that said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but rather those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Again, what have you learned that's keeping you from learning what you really need to know? Number 6, you ready for this? Your financial breakthrough or breakdown is almost guaranteed when you realize that time is not money. And that money is not time. So when you realize that time is not money, when you realize that time is not money and that profits are way better than wages. Okay, there you go. So when you realize that time is not money and that profits are way better than wages. One guy said, I never bought anything with money. He said, everything I bought with pieces of my time that I can never get back. And that will never have been what, and will never have been what I am worth. Let me say it again. He said, I never bought anything with money. He said, I only bought it with pieces of my time that I can never get back, and that will never have been what I am worth. Did you get that? Did you get that? See, your financial breakthrough, my friend, or breakdown is going to be almost guaranteed when you realize, I said number 6, that time is not money and that profits are way better than wages. Because again, a guy said, I never bought anything with money. I only bought it with pieces of my time that I can never get back and that will never have been what I'm worth. See, time is not money and money is not time. Time is infinitely more important than money. Time is time and money is money. But time is infinitely more important than money. Can I prove it to you? Are you like me? How many of you have ever lost money? Okay. How many ever made the money back? How many money that you lost, you made back even more? How many like me ever lost any time? How many of you have ever made that time or found that time? Nope. Can't find it. It's gone. Matter of fact, let me prove it to you. I said, how about if we say, okay, we're going to give you $10 million and you got 24 hours to live. So if you take the 10 million, you got 24 hours to live. and then you die. Who's going to take that deal? Well, most all of you would take the deal if you said, I give you 10 million, but when they put the caveat on there, but you only got 24 hours to live, we get to take your life at the end of 24 hours. It's like, nah, that's all right. Why? Because time is not money and money is not time. Money is money and time is time, and time is way infinitely more important than money. So poor people learn to sell a whole lot of their time for a little bit of somebody's money. And people of abundance are willing to work hard and smart so they can buy back their time. Matter of fact, the scripture says redeeming the time. The word redeem means to buy back, right? Redeeming the time, the days are evil. So how do I buy back my time? See, when I was a college professor, I got paid a certain amount. We can get bonuses, whatever, but it's a certain amount. But when I switched and went from making money based on my wages being paid based on the hour or whatever, and then I learned to get paid by profit. Like as a professor, I never made $47,000 in 1 hour for speaking, and I spoke more than an hour every day. Right? What's the difference? Speaking, $47,000 an hour. I'm like, an entrepreneur endeavor, right? Speaking, getting paid $1,000 per minute so far is the most I've ever been paid. Okay. So you think I ought to focus on this entrepreneur, breakthroughpreneur, kingdompreneur thing? Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like it messes with people's minds and they automatically think scam. Number 7. Is this, by the way, is this helping anybody? Make sure my time here. Is this helping anybody? Is this helping anybody? Number 7. Your financial breakthrough or breakdown can almost be guaranteed. Again, I say almost guaranteed because I don't know if you're going to implement or you're going to ignore. I don't know if you're going to leverage or leave. I don't know. Now, if you implement it, then it's going to be life transformation. Okay, here we go. So number 7. When you learn to go where the puck is going, so again, when you learn to go where the financial puck is going instead of where it has been. So when you learn to go where the financial puck is going instead of where it has been. Wayne and Walter Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky goes down in history, still is, the greatest hockey player ever. Google it for yourself, or chat GPT it or whatever y'all do these days. But Walter Gretzky, his dad taught him, because they asked him, they said, what's the secret to your success? He says, my dad. I said, what do you mean your dad? He said, when I was young, my dad taught me, son, don't go where the puck has been. Don't go where the puck is. You got to try to figure out and go where the puck is going. And he said, but Dad, how am I going to know that? He says, you have to pick it up. Just got to be aware. Just your awareness. You got to heighten your sense of awareness. So Wayne, trying to listen to his dad, Walter, in his early days when out there, thought the puck was going to go to the right and went to the right. And he's there all by himself. Everybody else is over to the left. And the coach calls, Gretzky, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Are you kidding? See, by the way, this is what you understand. See, great people always go through this and being misunderstood and being looked at a total outcast, but everybody's trying to be accepted. So everybody else is with the crowd. Now, little did he know the coach is calling him crazy and the rest of the players laughing at him, making fun of him, but they didn't know that one day he's going to be the greatest hockey player ever. Michael Jordan gets cut. They don't know that one day he's going to be one of the greatest basketball players, if not the greatest basketball player ever. But anyway, so he keeps on. And one time he goes to the left and everybody's to the right, but then the puck comes there. And all of a sudden they say, how'd you know? He said, well, I don't know. I just kind of sensed it. So he said like first he was like maybe 8 out of 10, he got it wrong. Like 8 out of 10 times he was wrong. But those 2 out of 10, then started getting the worst. 3 out of 10, he was right. And then 4 out of 10, he was right. And then 5 out of 10, and then 6. Listen, and he goes down as the greatest hockey player. Look him up. And guess what? To the day, he still have records that are still being held. And his secret, he said, I don't go where the puck has been. I don't go where the puck is. I go where the puck is going to be. And that's what we have to do financially. See, we're still trying to work those old systems that no longer, we're trying to go where the puck has been. Financial puck is different than it moved, right? So again, my friend, if you learn the history and the progression of wealth, you'll understand that first, like wealth was like, and again, the easiest way of making wealth was with land, right? If you were a landowner, right? That's why they called them landlord, landlady, right? Right. So land was wealth. Land equaled wealth. But then it went on, and then livestock, right? Not to say you couldn't make money with land, but then it was like livestock, right? And then it went from land to livestock to silver and gold, right? And so not to say you couldn't make money with land, not to say you couldn't make money with livestock, but the fastest and easiest was silver and gold. And then it went to coins, and then paper money, right? And then digital. And we're like in a cryptocurrency age now, and digital and AI. And so I'm saying you got to learn to go where the puck is going. The financial puck, not where it's been. And that's what schools usually teach you. And that's what everybody is used to. That's what's called the comfort zone. But the financial breakthrough is on the other side of your comfort zone. Your breakthrough is on the outside of your comfort zone. And your financial breakthrough is on the outside of your financial comfort zone. Is this making sense to anybody? All right, I'll give you one more and I'll stop. Your financial breakthrough is almost guaranteed when you stop just trying to make money. When you stop just trying to make money and start creating momentum. Your financial breakthrough can almost be guaranteed, or your financial breakdown can almost be guaranteed when you stop just trying to make money and start making or creating momentum. See, the one M versus the other M is two different things. Going after money will oftentimes get you frustrated because it may not come when you want, the way you want, how you want. But if you go after creating momentum, then momentum will automatically create the money. Matter of fact, once you get momentum started, you couldn't get the money to stop. But again, if you go after money, you get frustrated. But if you go after creating momentum, and you create momentum by doing the things consistently that create money. So you got to be consistent. And consistency looks like nothing's happening until everything's happening. And when everything's happening, once momentum is created. So again, consistency looks like nothing's happening until what? Momentum kicks in, and then everything's happening. So again, instead of going after the one M, you got to go after the other M. And when you go after the other M, it creates that M. So instead of going after the money, you got to go after creating momentum. And when you create momentum, the momentum creates the money. And so, my friend, so your financial breakthrough or breakdown if you go after making money only, your breakdown can almost be guaranteed. And because again, you'll get frustrated. Whenever you set your intention, I said it before, there's always going to be disruption, right? Soon as I said 9K to 90K or more in 90 days or less, is like, oh my goodness, all kind of disruption comes in, my friend. Nope. I'm not going to be distracted by the distractions, right? I'm not going to be distracted by the distractions. I'm going to keep on. So to create momentum, you just got to be consistent. You got to do the things when you feel like it. You got to do it when you don't feel like it. You got to just keep doing it till you do feel like it. Consistency. My wife said to me, baby, man, if more people would just be consistent. I said, baby, she said, so the people have problems are so inconsistent. I said, well, think of it this way. Everybody is consistent. Matter of fact, write this down. Everybody is consistent. They're just not consistent at the things that produce breakthroughs. See, they're consistently inconsistent at what matters. Let me say it again. Everybody's consistent. They're consistently inconsistent with what really matters. See, that's why I applaud you that showed up today, right? Holiday weekend should, hey, but being consistent. Proverbs 28:20 says, a faithful man, that's man and woman, a faithful man shall abound with blessings. See, faithfulness is always fruitfulness is always preceded by faithfulness. And faithfulness will eventually create fruitfulness. Why? Because every deed is a seed. Every word is a seed. Every thought is a seed. And I'm planting seeds, my friend, that will bring forth a harvest. But you can't expect a harvest if you stop planting seeds. So you got to be consistent. But most people are consistent at being inconsistent at the things that matter. And most folks, again, should switch to being consistent at the things that matter, the things that will create momentum, because momentum will always eventually create money. Is this making sense to anybody other than me? Okay. So again, your financial breakthrough is almost guaranteed. Let's see where we started today. On number 5, when you replace the poverty program and reprogram prosperity program and mindset. When you, number 6, realize that time is not money and that profits are way better than wages. Number 7, when you go where the financial puck is going. And number 8, when you stop just trying to make money and start creating momentum. You know the Amazon story with Jeff Bezos? He said, I got it. One day I'm gonna be a trillionaire. He said, he told the guy I'm be worth $1 billion. And back then was like, people like, dude. And then he said, it eventually be a trillionaire. You're like, yeah, right. No such thing. Way back then. But he has mind made up. Year number 1, no profits. But guess what? He was consistent. Year number 2, no profits. See, if he's going after making money, he'd have thrown in the towel like most people because they didn't make the money fast enough. Year 3, no profits. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, no profit. 10 years is barely breaking even, but no profit. But he knew he had something. And then, bam, he became the richest man in the world. Now, Elon Musk, I think, has since overcoming. But I'm saying this, my friend. Do you understand the power of this whole thing of creating momentum instead of just creating money? So your financial breakthrough is almost guaranteed. I hope you'll be one that instead of making excuses, which is the currency with which you buy failure, that you will use execution with expectation to create an experience, because that's where you buy success.